The Clippers are certainly considered a super team. They've seemed to found their kryptonite in the Warriors. The Clips have lost their last 7 meetings against Golden State. Now, with the 17-point loss last night, they have now lost 5 of their last 7 games. Overall, a huge disappointment for Clips fans, especially considering they started the season 14-2, which was the best start in the league this year. Max, break it down for me. What's wrong with the Clippers?
Well, last night, the Clippers are a very good team. Their issue is they're going to have to match up with the Warriors if they're lucky and they get that far in the Western Conference Finals, which they may not because, as usual, the Spurs are excellent, right? But so the question is, how do you match up with the Warriors? And going into this game, I was talking about the Clippers' defense and loud and constant communication, that type of stuff. But then, and picking up Steph early and all that, but actually in the game itself, it was the offense, Stephen A., that was the problem. And I think that's a Doc issue last night. Why wouldn't you use Blake in the interior? You post Blake up to collapse the defense. You want to get Golden State into rotations defensively, not just allow them to stay along the perimeter where they can be disruptive. I don't understand what that's about. And if you're Blake Griffin and Doc's not calling it, why don't you get in the post and get in the paint and demand the ball? So I don't. It was curious to watch. How do you think you're going to beat Golden State or even compete with them? Going in, I thought it would be a defensive issue. Coming out, I think it's an offensive game plan. It was discouraging to see if you're a Clippers fan, which I'm not. I mean, the joke's on them. I usually think it's funny, but it was strange to watch.
Max Kellerman, this ain't that complicated. Blake Griffin's got to attack the basket. He's got to stop settling for jump shots. And he has to embrace the fact that he is supposed to be the superstar that is the difference maker. Chris Paul has Steph Curry to deal with, and to a lesser degree, Klay Thompson, or more degree, because Klay Thompson is defending him sometimes, because they always put bigger guards on an opposing offensive-minded guard if you're the Golden State Warriors, and Chris Paul has to deal with that. DeAndre Jordan is a liability because he has no offensive skills whatsoever. He can dunk the ball, great rebounder, great defender, great shot blocker, but he has no offensive post game to speak of at all. So it all comes down to the shoulders of Blake Griffin, who clearly was satisfied shooting jump shots, which makes no damn sense whatsoever. And then when you combine that with the fact that you've got a situation where they've now lost 7 straight to the Warriors, that's number one. Number two, Steph Curry missed all 8 of his 3-point shots. And in games at the Staples Center this year, the dude is 4 for 28 from 3-point range. Kevin Durant shot 29% from the field last night. It was his worst shooting performance of the season. So Steph didn't have a great game. Kevin Durant didn't have a game. And they were still blowing the Clippers out. This is just bad. And it comes down to, you can talk about the bench, all of that's true. The bench has to be up. JC and Spates and all of those boys have to do something for you. Chris Paul's got to elevate his level of play. DeAndre Jordan has to get an offense. He's not going to do it because he hasn't done it at this point in his career. No need to expect it for the rest of this season. But it comes down to Blake Griffin, who's approaching a final year of his contract. He's going to be a free agent this summer. Remind us all of the superstar we thought he was going to be, and responding to challenges like this, which he clearly did not do last night. That's what this comes down to. This ain't about Doc Rivers. This is about a player that's a star needing to be a superstar.
Yes, I agree with that. Failing Doc Rivers using him properly in a game like that. I mean, Blake is a very well-rounded game. He showed that last year when he needs to be explosive. He did that in the playoffs too, or showed he's capable of doing it. But the advantage strategically that the Clippers have over the Warriors is their size. So if you're the coach of the Clippers, and Doc has forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know, I understand that. That's why it's curious to me. If you're the coach of the Clippers on offense, why don't you use the size? That's your strategic advantage. And he didn't, and it played right into the Warriors' hands in terms of the way the Clippers played offense. And that's why I think it's primarily Doc. Secondarily, if Doc's not calling it, then Blake's got to insist on the ball down there, which he also didn't do. We agree about that.
I'm trying to be clear about something. Are you saying that Blake Griffin didn't get the ball enough?
Not down low.
Whose fault is that? Blake Griffin barely goes down low.
I agree.
Blake Griffin is perfectly comfortable in the perimeter.
I agree. Too comfortable.
But what I'm saying, but if you're comfortable on the perimeter at 6'10", with a dude about 4 inches shorter than you, Short of benching him or knocking him upside the head, what are you supposed to do?
By the way, DeAndre doesn't have a post game, but if he catches the ball in the paint, he scores it. You have size.
I got to cut you short because we got a special segment coming up. When we come back, Warriors game was also a lopsided affair, dominating the Clippers at Staples Center 115-98. So both the Cavs and Warriors looking like they're on a collision course for their third straight finals matchup. Stephen A has been lamenting about this since KD joined the Warriors, that they've ruined the season and the excitement is over for his favorite sport. Max, is it true? Is the season over?
No, this is amazing. You're getting to see basketball played on the highest possible level. Two juggernauts on a collision course in the finals. And by the way, if Ali and Frazier are on a collision course for a super fight, what does that mean? Just because no one else in the heavyweight division can mess with them? That you don't want to see any of those fights? If Tyson and Holyfield are getting ready to fight, you don't want to see Smoking Burt Cooper and Michael Moore knock each other down 5 times, or George Foreman and Ron Lyle in a slugfest? I'll watch the Celtics and the Bucks. Those guys are on TV. That's an interesting game if you like hoops. I mean, there are things to watch all over the NBA. Spurs are playing the Thunder. Am I not interested in that simply because there are 2 teams that are better than those guys? No. All this is, if you're wrapped up in the idea that you already know who's going to be playing in the finals, then I welcome you to most seasons in the NBA where you pretty much know at least the Final Four, the conference finals, from the very beginning, and usually you have a pretty good idea of the finals. So if you're wrapped up in that, and that's going to stop you from appreciating 2 teams as good as the Cavs and the Warriors right now, I don't know what I can tell you. I guess you're not going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate that because there's very little you can tell me. That's number one. Number two, I love the analogy that you brought up, like people actually know who Ron Lyle is. I know him, but when you brought him up, I'm quite sure our audience don't know who the hell that guy is. Right. Okay, that's number two. Number three, Max. Look, man, it's not about right or wrong here with you and I on this particular issue. It's about preference, and last night exemplified that more than anything. Yeah, we chilling in the suite after, during the game, for half the game and stuff like that. But you got to leave. I had to stay there for that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. I had to actually stay. I couldn't leave. I had to stay post-game and do all of that other stuff. This is exactly what I'm talking about. An annihilation. Now listen, when I look at the Eastern Conference, even though I don't anticipate anybody beating Cleveland, at the same time, LeBron James' jumper may not fall with regularity. A Kyrie injury is always possible, although I'm not wishing that on that brother. He is so special. Kevin Love showing up, hitting some threes.
He's playing
we
this year.
gotta hope that continues. Listen, all I'm saying to you is this. When you look at the Eastern Conference, clearly Cleveland's the class of the conference. There's no doubt about that. But Golden State is on another level because there is no Clippers in the East. There are no San Antonio Spurs in the Eastern Conference, but they are in the West, and they might as well be in the East because how they look in the West. Now, in the case of the Clippers, I'm talking about because we all saw San Antonio blow out Golden State by 29 opening night. But at the same time, we don't anticipate that this will last, not based on what we saw LaMarcus Aldridge do in the postseason last year, those last 4 games against OKC. Having said all of that, the greatness of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the movement of the basketball and the unselfishness by these guys. It is beautiful basketball to watch until it gets to a point where you look at it and say, damn, this is really bad. This is embarrassing. There's nothing that you can do. I told you they took the suspense. Kevin Durant's move to Golden State took the suspense and the theater out of it. I am watching a Golden State Warriors team and literally looking at them toy with a championship contender. And I'm saying to myself, my God, this is so bad, I don't even know what to say. And then the only hope that we would have for the Clippers is if Blake Griffin elevates himself to a superstar, helps them slow the game down because this dude is dominating in the post. And what is he doing? Shooting fall-away jumpers over dudes half his size. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm with you there, but let me follow this logic. I'm with you on Blake, but let me follow.
Go ahead.
As far as performance last night, that's on Doc too. We'll get into that later also. But let me get this logic. It's
How's it on Doc?
Well, we'll get
Go
into
ahead.
that. We're going to be
Go
talking
ahead.
about
Go
that.
ahead.
You want to do it now? I mean, let's look at this logic that you're using here. In the Eastern Conference, the Cavs are playing in a weaker conference, so you really don't hold it against them that they're as good as they are. In the Western Conference, the Warriors, by acquiring Kevin Durant, even though it leaves them vulnerable defensively in certain ways, but by acquiring Kevin Durant, you assume, especially by the time the playoffs roll around, they'll be even better than they were, and that was good enough to get through everyone in the West last year, and after all, they took the best piece off of the team that almost upset them in the West, so it's just a foregone conclusion. So but generally, a team that good in one conference, I would assume for you, would be okay so long as the team in the other conference might get upset. But in this case, you feel that both teams are so good it ruins the regular season. There have been plenty of seasons, in other words, where a team in one conference or another, the Lakers, the Bulls, whoever it was so good you knew they were coming out of that conference and you were okay with it. Now suddenly you're not because in the other conference there also exists a team like that? I don't get it.
Well, I'll help you get it. Number one, I think that, first of all, other teams were built. In the case of Cleveland, that's different because LeBron left South Beach. There was drama as to why he left South Beach, going back home, somewhat nostalgic and things of that nature that factored into the equation. So you're thinking about more of it than just basketball. You're thinking about what his winning would do for Northeast Ohio. You're thinking about what him winning and bringing a championship back to the city of Cleveland for the first time in 52 years with me. You're thinking about all of these different things. In the case of, and not only that, you were also thinking, as much as I did not feel this way because I absolutely loved him in South Beach, I'm damn near still mad at him for not being in South Beach because I have no really reason.
That's what you really mean when you say the regular season is ruined. That's what you really mean.
Well, that hurts. Well, that is a point. That is a valid point.
You don't need to be at South Beach.
That does play a factor. That does play a factor. Yes, I do. Actually,
You don't.
Really do.
You don't.
But the point that I'm trying to
Bob.
make to you, that's the point. With Golden State, Kevin Durant leaving a championship contender, up 3-1 in the conference finals, to go to the team that beat him, who happened to be 73-9 and the reigning defending NBA champions at the time. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. And it's just, it's taken the theater out of it for me. I'm watching
the theater,
slaughters.
Stephen A.
I'm watching slaughters.
It wasn't enough.
I don't feel that way.
Didn't have enough
feel that way.
in Oklahoma City to get over the hump against the Warriors, and the Warriors didn't have enough without Durant to get over the hump against LeBron James. And now they've joined forces, and we'll see if their combined forces can get past LeBron.
Draymond doesn't get suspended for Game 5. The Warriors are
Kyrie and
two-time
Kevin
champions
Love.
right now.
All right, guys, got to agree to
Draymond doesn't
disagree
get
here.
suspended. The Warriors are two-time champions right now.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Gentlemen, let's leave it there.
Injuries too. Game 6.
Coming up next.